I grew up in the military, and I had a very anti-authoritarian streak to me. Very anti-war, basically. I didn't like thinking that my friends' fathers or my own father would go to war, basically, and either come back scarred or the worst, die. My first stepfather, he went to Vietnam. He was a Marine, and he came back very much scarred with PTSD, a drinker. And I didn't really understand that because, like, obviously the Vietnam War happened before I was born. But growing up with him, like, I noticed there was a lot of terror in him. And by the time I was a teenager, like, my mum would tell me like what had happened to him. And I just thought that was an injustice, basically. The American government was denying that there was any PTSD among like many veterans. And my experience was like, no, this was deadly real. I mean, the man was 18 when he went to war, and he saw multiple friends die. Like, there's got to be a big scar on people. Well, I was always quite interested in like fringe topics growing up. Being like an alternative kid, I kind of liked the JFK stuff, Bigfoot or UFOs, all that kind of thing. But it wasn't anything that I necessarily believed properly. I was just entertained by them. But for me, it was 2003, and I came across 9/11 conspiracy theory documentaries, and that was the conspiracy theory that really sucked me into the rabbit hole. We've got to put context for what was happening in 2003, and that was we were on the cusp of war with Iraq. The government was talking about weapons of mass destructions, and a lot of like the media was kind of saying that this might not be true, and the UN itself was also saying this was not true. The weapons of mass destruction in Iraq just weren't present. There's a thing with 9/11, right, called the Project for a New American Century, which was written by the neoconservatives, which was the Bush administration. And this was written like the year before 9/11 happened. And in that book, it said that there was supposed to be, they would like to take more control of resources in the Middle East, essentially, but they wouldn't be able to convince the American public to do this unless there was some Pearl Harbor of our age. And that was something that would be talked about a lot in the conspiracy world. And with this whole narrative, the idea that, well, they did set this up, their very own Pearl Harbor, to go to war in Iraq, and then they pretended that they were going to find weapons of mass destruction, but no one had these weapons of mass destruction. So it really didn't add up what the mainstream narrative was trying to say. But this alternative narrative, that made a lot more sense. It definitely started going into, okay, these people are all lying to us. The Tony Blair party was obviously from the left. George Bush party was from the right. And it felt like they were all working together. So it definitely started feeding into this. These governments were working together, even though they're supposed to be on opposite sides. And I did just start going very quickly into that rabbit hole. The next point was I was trying to find out who were these people then, because I started coming across more information about George Bush at the time and his political rival, John Kerry. They were both in a secret society called Skull and Bones at Yale University. And so that sounds a bit strange, really. Like I was very confused by it, but I started to look more and more into secret societies and seeing how many elite politicians kind of grew up or went into the secret society network of like Freemasons and things like this. So that's kind of where the paranoia really starts coming in. Like, okay, hold on, all of these people are connected, not just the politicians, but the people in the entertainment industry, in the banking industry, just everywhere. It seemed like there was somebody involved. If they were at the upper echelon of society, they were somehow connected to a secret society. I thought their goal was a new world order, a one world government. The reason why, though, I thought that is because of the stuff that I was watching. That's the narrative that they were spinning. There's a place in California called Bohemian Grove, and there's a very popular conspiracy theorist who almost everybody knows called Alex Jones. And he snuck into there and he filmed an alleged ritual and showed that all these politicians actually went to this thing, this ceremony. I think I just started to buy into exactly what it was they were telling me, because it looked freaky, man. It looked so scary. It just did. And it made that video made me think, okay, I think these people might actually be evil. This might be just a little bit more than the government want to go and get resources or take over another country or whatever. Like, it was definitely the moment where I thought, there's something else going on here. The thing is with these conspiracy theories, like, conspiracies are true. Conspiracies do happen, but conspiracy theories are an exaggeration of that truth, a very big exaggeration of that truth. So specifically with Bohemian Grove, like, there's no real child sacrifices going on there. It's like it's an effigy. It's a ceremony put on by actors